Hey, what's up, world? It's your boy G Shrimp, everybody, favorite baby daddy, voice of the street, man. And today we in New Orleans, y'all. So hit that like button, y'all. Subscribe to the channel, and let's get right into it, y'all. Well, look like time has finally run out for the boy Antoine Massey, y'all. That's one of the 10 inmates who had escaped. You know, we had 2 left on the run. Now, this is the one that had been going all on Instagram asking for help and all that. And he been moving around pretty cool, y'all. But they've been trying to get him. Somebody set the man up so cold, y'all. Listen. For the people who don't know, when they offer these rewards, you can't call 911 and they get them. You got to call Crime Stoppers where the reward is offered at. Somebody called Crime Stoppers, knew where he was going to be, and actually sent them there. So let's say he had a girlfriend or a cousin he'd been laying up with, y'all. This just me using it for example. And she like, you cool here, man. I'm going to go to work and you don't answer my door, don't answer my phone. She'd been holding them down for a week or so, however long. She goes to work, calls Crime Stopper. They send the tip out. The people take the tip, go there, bam, find them. There's no way they cannot give her that money because she followed all the steps that is necessary to get that $50,000 reward. You know, I'm going to let y'all see this without no further ado. I just want to explain that a little bit. And
afternoon, according to the U.S. Marshal's Office, Antoine Massey, who has been known for making social media posts as he's been on the run, he was one of the 10 inmates who escaped from the Orleans Justice Center several weeks ago now. He and Derek Groves were the only 2 remaining still on the run. But this afternoon, we have learned at WWL Louisiana that Antoine Massey has been recaptured. We just got off the phone moments ago with the U.S. Marshal's Office. They confirmed to us here at WWL Louisiana that he is, in fact, back in custody, that he was taken back into custody in the Holly Grove neighborhood. And investigative reporter Mike Pearlstein is joining me on the set this afternoon. You just got off the phone with them. Tell me what else you know. This happened in Holly Grove, as I mentioned?
Right, in the 9400 block of Strolitz, not far from the Costco on the way to Metairie Road. This was all within the past hour, so this is very fresh news and information. Antoine Massey was found inside of a residence. He was alone. According to Brian Fair of the U.S. Marshal Service, he was captured without incident. In fact, he gave himself up once surrounded by law enforcement. This actually came from a Crime Stoppers tip, Katie. So we know that a $50,000 reward had been offered for some weeks now. They had been waiting on tip.
If you used AFFF,
I just tell y'all that $50,000, baby.
Tips, in fact, pursuing some of them unsuccessfully until today. This tip panned out. Somebody will be collecting $50,000. It came through Crime Stoppers. Other agencies involved, the U.S. Marshals were kind of leading the search, but instrumental and at this residence were representatives of the New Orleans Police Department, Louisiana State Police, U.S. Marshals, of course, along with JPSO, not far from the Jefferson Parish border.
That's right on the line.
They assisted. Obviously, they were taking, no chances or risks with these. This particular escaped inmate being considered potentially armed, potentially dangerous, but it ended peacefully. He's now back in custody. Obviously, he'll be facing a charge of escape in addition to the previous charges for which he was being held at the Orleans Justice Center of domestic violence that included rape.
Yes, absolutely. Now, this area that we were looking at on your screen, this is a map where that house is, where Antoine Massey, one of the Orleans Justice Center escapees, was taken back into custody. If you're just joining us, that happened just a few moments ago. This area is really not too far from Xavier University's campus, which may be a bit unnerving for some parents out there who may be watching this, to know that Antoine Massey was hiding out in a house right there not that far from the Costco where a lot of people frequent. Hundreds, thousands of people go through that Costco every day. And apparently Antoine Massey did not get far when they escaped from the Orleans Justice Center, all 10 of them.
It was kind of assumed in the case of Antoine Massey in particular that he may not have gone far. We saw that previously he posted a video of himself on social media that was identified as a house near the fairgrounds, which was promptly descended upon by the law enforcement agencies. He had not been there, so assumed that whenever he videotaped that, it was sometime earlier before he posted it. But that gave them an idea that he probably had not fled across state lines or anything further. What is interesting, we've seen in many of these other escapees, accomplices arrested, booked with accessory to the escape. Right now, no such other people known to be involved in helping him, assisting him. Nobody was at that house in that Holly Grove area when they descended upon it to make that arrest. He gave himself up peacefully. Now, of course, we'll see once they debrief Antoine Massey if he provides any additional information. He was considered, Katie, one of the masterminds
we learned
the
that.
escape.
We learned that, yes, through, the fact that they've arrested several other people, and so that has given us a bit of a paper trail as we've continued to cover this.
And, he's been perhaps, the most visible by popping up on social media. There have been many tips generated about his whereabouts, including the one himself going on social media. They were able to, pinpoint a house there. It's now almost 6 weeks since that escape. It is really considered remarkable that Massey, up until today, and Derek Rose, the other escapees still at large, managed to stay out for so long with such a large reward being offered.
Apparently, one tip is all it took.
That's right, and that is always the kind of mystery of being a fugitive. How many people know of the whereabouts? Who did he trust? Well, apparently, I don't know if it was him letting his guard down or somebody deciding 50,000 was just too tempting to pass up. But it was, in fact, a Crime Stoppers tip. And Brian Fair, the spokesman for the U.S. Marshal Service, said that reward will be collected by the tipster.
Yeah, well, obviously there's still a $50,000 reward for information out for Derek Groves. He's considered the other mastermind behind this operation. We do know that Groves had an ex-girlfriend who was actually an employee at the jail, correct?
Right. She was a guard.
And she was a guard at one point, has since been fired. However, that's the only person that we've known with ties to Groves. Now, if he and Massey were the two who coordinated this escape, there are going to be a lot of questions, asked and hopefully answered by Massey now that he's in custody.
And certainly, the more that time passed from that May 16th escape, the more the law enforcement was operating on the theory that the escaped inmates had gone their separate ways. They were no longer, say, together in hiding. The last pair were the two arrested in Texas. They got the furthest of anyone we know so far. And they were together in a car, arrested by authorities in Texas. But everyone else had been arrested separately. Generally, if you're going to cover your tracks and remain in hiding, the fewer people that know, the better.
Sure.
Acting in concert with another person could also, put them in jeopardy of again being caught.
Yes.
Massey was again caught in that 9400 block of Strolitz in Holly Grove by himself in a residence, and that's generally, it's almost kind of on the edge of Lakeview on the way to Metairie Road. You could describe it as behind the Costco. A relatively peaceful residential neighborhood.
Yeah, not really Lakeview, but uptown. It's closer to Holly Grove, borders uptown,
right.
And other areas like that. Now, just a few moments ago, you were looking at a booking photo for one of the plumbers who was working at the jail, who has been accused of helping these inmates escape. Now, that affidavit in his arrest is where we got a tremendous amount of information about how this this breakout happened, and that's when we first learned that Massey and Groves may have been the two that were the ringleaders behind this, and that they had been working together, that they had confronted this plumber allegedly. Plumber now tells a different story through his attorney, so all of those details are going to play out in court. I think that's when we're finally going to figure out exactly what happened, but you would assume that the U.S. Marshal's Office, the NOPD, every law enforcement agency, Louisiana State Police, which Troop NOLA has been essential in all of this, that they are all questioning Massey, that they are going to try and get as much information out of him as possible about, number one, how this went down, and number two, where Derek Groves might be.
And you mentioned in the case of the Sterling Williams, the maintenance man at the jail who was arrested, and in fact he was the first of the non-escapees, to be arrested as a helping or an accomplice.
Yes.
And the initial account, I'm glad you used the word allegedly, because that's now in some dispute by his own attorney, but his allegation that he told detectives at the time of his arrest was that he was threatened with a shank, a crude homemade prison knife, that under that threat he turned off the water so that the inmates could crawl through a hole that they, I guess, punched through a wall of an empty cell behind a toilet and sink fixture. Later, once he got to court, his attorney gave a different account, that it was a matter of a plumbing issue and maintenance that led to him turning off the water.
He even said he was not threatened with a shank by these two inmates. That's what the lawyer said in court once Sterling Williams went to court. So this is definitely in dispute, not completely 100% fact at this point, but that is what law enforcement believed, and that is what was contained in that arrest affidavit.
But we do know, obviously, Antoine Massey was...
All you wanted was to add a column while planning your next sprint.
No. That's enough, y'all. That's just a lot of jibber jabber that I'm talking about. This and that. But anyway, the man has been captured, y'all. And somebody is collecting a reward, y'all. $50,000. Somebody was patient. They went through the correct process. And the reason I'm telling y'all about the reward, because I seen this on TV happen to a couple. They sent the person who had a reward out for them, and they called 911. And would you believe the people did not pay them that money because they called 911? They never would have captured this person if they wouldn't have called 911, because they was in the car behind the person and they sent him. He was in traffic moving. So they had to call the police. But thank God for social media. A white man pulled up and paid them people the money that the state is supposed to pay them. So that's how I know that you got to go through Crime Stoppers to actually get the reward, because they the one who put the reward up, right? And you got to go through Crime Stoppers. But by then the person could be gone. But when you know a person is in a house and he might be staying there, that's different. That's why people are portrayed by their family members, girlfriends, ex-people that they associates they used to run with, like that. Somebody that they know he go be here for a while. As a matter of fact, goddamn it, he go be here till Friday because he hoping, goddamn it, I get paid this Friday, I'm going to give him some money so he can go down to his auntie house. So they be knowing. So he's locked up, y'all, and that's what's happening. Y'all see I'm up early. I just happened to sit up, y'all, and turn my phone on and say, well, I'll be damned. Let me get right up, because I ended up doing a story yesterday and ran out of space on my computer, y'all. I see a few people like, you got to finish the story. I said, I'm going to finish the story. Don't worry. I started to buy me a cupcake because she was the first person to say, gee, finish the story, But the story I was telling y'all about was when I had swapped cars with a guy, y'all, right? And when you swap cars with a person, you got to worry about they enemies. Like when I swap cars with people, I would tell them, hey, don't go here, don't go there. If I got enemies anywhere, I will let them know what it is. Now, me and him did that. I was in my own area, so I knew I didn't have and I had my enemies around here, so I had security when I was around here. When I was taking the car back, I had security follow me to the expressway, right? And then they faded off because I'm going all the way to the hundreds. I don't got no enemies out here. I got women out here. Plus, I wasn't even in my car, so I'm like, I should be cool. But I didn't know where his ops was because I didn't even max all that. And I happened to pull up at a gas station where his ops was at, and some people he was beefing with. It was their area. So when they pulled up at the gas station, they like, is that dude? Damn, they bagged up and looked, and I'm fucking with the radio. I got the gas and I'm finna pull off. And these motherfuckers started shooting y'all. They knew I wasn't him because the windows weren't tinted. But they knew this that car. So whether they knew I was him or not, most of the generals be buck wild, goddamn it, cocky. They the ones putting in the work because you can't get to be a general if you ain't been putting in no work. So they knew they couldn't pass up an opportunity on him, right? These motherfuckers started shooting through the front window, and I kind of leaned back, and they just coming through the window. Now this the years of when we was shooting these Glocks, y'all, these 17-shot Glocks. So the motherfucker was shooting through the front window, and I kind of had leaned back, and he realized he's missing me. So he tried to aim toward you can lean back, and the door is a panel right there. So he realized he wasn't hitting me. He tried to aim through the panel. I jumped in the back seat. When I jumped in the back seat, he realized he's still missing me. He started aiming at the back. I jumped back in the front seat. And he started back trying to bust through the front. I jumped out the goddamn sunroof, y'all. You hear me? I'm 5'3", 130 pounds. I'm jumping around this motherfucker trying not to get hit. I jumps out and pew, run through the back, and I just runs around the block. I'm hiding a little bit. By the time I come back, the police is here and everything. They got the street blocked off here, there. The car is still running, y'all. He in there, the police in there talking to the gas station attendant, and whoever the people they was talking to people. And here I come back running around there, y'all. I ain't said nothing to the police. I don't got shit to say to y'all. This is the car I'm in. Fuck what y'all talking about. I come back running, jumped on the back of the damn trunk, y'all, and jumped right back down through the sunroof and put that bitch in driving. They look like, what the fuck? These motherfuckers chased me like I was doing the shooting, y'all. You hear me? I wasn't far from my man's house. I had already talked to him, so he was waiting on me, right? I pulls up, whoop. I turn the corner, police turning the corner behind, they jumped out. He like, what the fuck? And they backed up on the porch, and they looking like, so they got me on the console. I'm like, hey man, don't move, what's going on? And I'm like, hey man, listen, bro, I just got some gas at the gas station, and they shot the car up. I jumped out, and I came back, and I got the car back, and I was coming to my original destination because I had swapped cars with somebody. So I discussed that for a minute. Then, he naturally came on out there. I guess he made sure he wasn't dirty. He got all the proper information for the car. And I'm like, that's my car right there. That's truck, right? So fast forward, after the police gone and they left us alone, they wrote up a statement and all that shit. And he like, damn, G, they tried to kill you, man. No, nigga. They tried to kill you. He like, what? I said, I was at the gas station up the tree. He like, G, you ain't never winning that gas. Yes, I did, nigga. He like, damn, G, I forgot to tell you, man, don't go to that fucking gas station. No wonder these motherfuckers shooting at you. He said, you know how many niggas I done shot over there, G, in this car? I'm like, I could tell. That's why they was on it. You feel me? That's why they was on the car like that. So I'm like, yeah, it was a white short body Cadillac. He like, I know exactly who that is, G. I'm like, we on their ass. We jumped right in my truck and flipped through the neighborhood. And look, we took some niggas with us. I'm like, let me out. No, G, we ain't getting out. Y'all get out and handle that. They got out and got on them niggas' ass, you know. I don't know why people be doing drills in cars and think they can go park it. It's their car and all that. But some niggas do that because sometimes things just happen and it be like that. But these niggas hadn't even got out the car yet, y'all. So they had went riding and did whatever they did. They didn't care. They probably like, look. And then in the 90s, didn't no motherfucker talk to the police. So we never told them what kind of car was shooting at us or none of that. You know, so they didn't know none of that. So I guess these niggas did feel comfortable because they like, shit, he always shooting at us. But that's how it is. People get their lick back. But the bad part about it is when you use somebody else's car, you got to be aware of that. I always never worried about getting killed in the city, in my neighborhood or somewhere else. I always would worry about going in somebody else's neighborhood and not knowing they in war. And sometimes you could just have a car that looked like somebody else. You know, that looked like somebody else's. I had a white Cougar that I used to shoot at a lot of niggas out of. And this was back in the day. We had the American racers on the car, right? And I was down on 43rd one day, and I rolled by a nigga. This nigga had a white car just like mine, rims on it. And I stopped. Looks like looking in the fucking mirror. And we backed up. He looking like, what? I'm like, man, what the fuck? So we got out and started. I said, man, how long you had this car? He like, I ain't had it long, man. Woo. And the only difference between the cars was mine had a spoiler on it. So, you know, the spoiler on it. His didn't have a spoiler on it. But if you don't know, you wouldn't have been able to tell this wasn't that car. Because it had the identical rims and it was white. The same color, red interior. So I'm like, look, bro, I don't know what you into. Don't you drive this motherfucking car through Inglewood. You know me. If you do, you better have your pistol and you better be shooting at niggas. Because you fuck around and turn up the wrong block. And niggas be like, hell no, here go that nigga, bruh. They'll try to get their lick back. You know, because I was buck, bro. I'm talking about I was buck. Motherfuckers used to be running from my cars and everything. And sometimes you ain't even in the mood. You just pull up and be like, damn. You know, I was at the light one day. And, you know, people be street smart. I always tell you that guns don't save your life. Street smarts do. Now, gun to help. Don't get me wrong. Gun to help. But street smarts really save your life just making the right move, right? So I'm at the light one day, and I see two niggas on the other side of the street. It's a newspaper stand right there. So they walk, and they stop walking. So in my mind, these niggas might be finna try to get off a shot. So I'm like, when the light turns, I'm gonna just hit it, right? So I tell my girl, look and see what them two niggas doing. You know, when we turn the corner, look on the side of that newspaper stand, see where them two niggas at. So when I turn the corner, she looked, and then I said, what they doing? She said, look like they hiding. Or I'm like, well, she started laughing. I'm like, yeah, that shit ain't funny, bitch. You know what I mean? Them niggas hiding because they know if I'd have turned that corner and they'd have been walking, they might have got shot at. So they just buckled down for a minute, like, wait till this nigga go by. That's what they supposed to do. You know what I mean? A lot of the young niggas, y'all call, oh, them niggas tucked their tail. No, they didn't. They might have just saved their life, bro. Because if they'd have been some niggas out of looking for and I'd turned the corner and slowed down, their ass would have been shot. You know? A lot of times you got to be thinking when you out here. If you ain't just, you can't just bang it out all the time because sometimes you might miss something. Like I always tell people, you can win 100 shootouts, bro. You only got to lose one. You feel me? It's your boy G Shump. Everybody fake baby daddy voice of the street. I'm gonna plant it and dig you later. I'm out of here.